This video is going to be brought to you by Gfuel, and I'm extremely excited to tell you guys that Gfuel has now gone Sage Mode for the first time ever with the first Gfuel Naruto Sage Mode hydration tub, the very first Naruto flavor in the hydration line. You guys know that I've said in the past that I'll drink Gfuel for a quick boost of energy to get the morning started when I'm working on content, but what makes the hydration line different is the Naruto Sage Mode tub has 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, and 0 calories, but it's packed with all those important vitamins and electrolytes, and most importantly, it tastes amazing. Up until now, the only things I've tried from Gfuel have been their energy drinks and their protein puffs, but after trying the hydration tub, I strongly recommend it to you guys because it has that grapefruit white peach flavor that slaps as hard as Damon's stomped out code. Use my link down in the description box and the pinned comment to get yours today, and use my discount code KAGE for your discount. Again, go to gfuel.com or use my affiliate link and use my promo code KAGE in order to get your discount. Thank you again to Gfuel for partnering with me on today's video. One of the things that the Boruto franchise has constantly been critiqued is the constant shattering of the power scaling by numerous power creeps that we've seen characters undergo, but what might be the single biggest criticism in the eyes of many fans is the back-to-back introduction of more Otsutsuki clan members into the story. As someone who for years, to be fully transparent, has been openly vocal that I did not care for the Kaguya plot twist, I hated it. I prefer to pretend the events of Naruto Volume 71 never happened. Naruto and Sasuke just managed to somehow defeat Madara, and they fought at the final valley afterwards and blew off their arms. So I do need to be transparent before I get into today's video topic, which is the growing number of people I've seen who are saying that Boruto's story has one more Otsutsuki clan member who has been introduced, when this is not the case at all, but rather a massive misunderstanding by the people that are saying that we have a brand new Otsutsuki clan member named. And I've been sent enough requests to talk about this new mysterious Otsutsuki that I wanted to address this now and hopefully try to put out some of the flames before they spread too far. And as a quick side note, that 2.5 hour Boruto video, it is finally done. I got it back from the editor, so we'll be dropping that in June when most of you guys are done with school, and this video is going to be well worth the wait. Now, the idea of there being a new Otsutsuki, it's something that most people who don't follow the series closely, they would tell you, hey, that's totally believable, and they wouldn't question it at all. After all, we went from Kaguya and her 2 haploided sons to Toneri being a descendant of Kaguya's son Hamura, to Momoshiki being introduced, then Kenshiki, then Urashiki, Ishiki, and now Shibai. Technically, Jigen, Boruto, and Kawaki, they're all Otsutsuki since genetically they are Otsutsuki vessels. They're all 100% Otsutsuki genetically, so they are Otsutsuki given that technicality. However, when Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Volume 1 dropped the database section of the story that included the prologue to explain to new readers how we got to where we are currently, it reveals some information that had some people jumping to conclusions, a lot of people jumping to conclusions, that there's a new Otsutsuki in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex when this isn't the case. So you've probably seen people mention on social media, Reddit, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, about a Kami Otsutsuki, and that there's a new Otsutsuki coming to the story named Kami Otsutsuki. And if you're thinking, hey, you missed something in Boruto Naruto Next Generations, then you can breathe a sigh of relief. And if you're thinking this entry in the physical volume of the manga contained information regarding a future Otsutsuki, then you've unintentionally been misled. So the text in the manga volume says that it's going to recap the events of Boruto Naruto Next Generations for new readers, because Ikimoto in his note as mangaka says that basically this is a sequel to Boruto Naruto Next Generations, but for all intents and purposes to treat it like a brand new series as well. Boruto Naruto Next Generations was the youth arc, and now we're into Boruto's story now. A la, it isn't doing what Naruto's manga and Dragon Ball's manga did, where in Japan the manga was just called Naruto for 72 volumes and Dragon Ball was just called Dragon Ball for 42 volumes. There was no Naruto Shippuden manga or Dragon Ball Z manga in Japan. Hence, we got the recap to catch new readers up so they can dive into the story of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex without having to go back and reread Naruto Next Generations. The misconception and miscommunication issue more than likely comes from, wait for it, using AI to translate, which while it's better than Google Translate, it still has some issues when translating Japanese to English, though it did get certain things right in this translation, like the correct spelling of Eida's name, since the name itself is a pun, so you don't spell it literally as the lettering in Japanese writes it out, as as EIDA when the pun requires you to spell as ADA. But the translation is mostly correct, but there's a bit of confusion for quite a few people in the fandom. So looking at the translation directly, it says, quote, "The divine magic that dwells inside of Eida, Kamiosutsuki, used to be a god in a world that no longer exists. It is said that he uses this technique to create the current world and its infinite possibilities. It is the ultimate power to materialize any thought or idea into reality. However, this power can only be wielded by Kami Otsutsuki himself, making it a power beyond control for Eida. Currently, Eida's ability is limited to manifesting only her untapped desires into reality without any conscious control over it," end quote. So the thing that probably sticks out here to you is like, oh my god, who is this Kami Otsutsuki? And I've gotten DMs, I've seen comments on videos, and I've even had some patrons bring it up in the Patreon Discord server that this is a brand new Otsutsuki when this is not the case. So the Japanese word for god is literally Kami. Hence it says Kami Otsutsuki. I've reached out to a couple of people who are fluent in Japanese who have translated raw scans to me in the past, and they translated other material to help the channel out, like some of the novel quotes that I do in videos that haven't been translated in English yet. They've helped me out when I haven't been able to buy translations myself, and both of them came back with the same thing I did. Kami Otsutsuki was in reference to the god of the Otsutsuki, not a new character. Viz Media is probably going to clean this up when they get permission to distribute Volume 1 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex in North America, which will likely be this winter since Boruto Naruto Next Generations Volume 20 drops August 6th in English. Japanese is a context-heavy language, so a word-for-word translation in English is not going to be always spot on. Like, say, if you translate Spanish into English, it's a lot easier to get closer to a word-for-word translation. Like, say, the new Black Clover chapter, where Viz Media screws up a very important line in the new chapter, and Jujutsu Kaisen consistently drops the ball with its translations. The Kami Otsutsuki is literally referring to Shibai Otsutsuki. There is no new Otsutsuki here. It is saying that Eida used the power of the god of the Otsutsuki, God Otsutsuki. The god Otsutsuki is Shibai here, the lone Otsutsuki who we are told attained the status of godhood in the Otsutsuki clan itself. When the translation is saying Kami Otsutsuki used to be a god, Shibai used to be a god in this world because he transcended to a fourth dimensional existence where he no longer needed a body to exist. As Amado and Momoshiki tell us, he attained godhood. Viz Media is likely going to add Shibai's name for clarification, or they're just going to refer to him as the Otsutsuki God in the translation when Viz does the official release. A new character isn't usually teased in the recap portion of a manga before you get into the story itself. That's not how this works. Sure, things like what it said about currently Eida's power is limited are teased in these sections because it's been previously established she isn't in full control of the power, which means there are more layers to it that she hasn't tapped into, because we're literally told omnipotence, it takes thoughts and desires and it makes them into reality, and she has only scratched the surface of that power in a very juvenile way, which is why it took Momoshiki as long as it did for him to figure out what the true nature of her Shinjutsu is, because she was literally a child using the power of a god to fulfill a teenage girl's fantasy of being desired by everyone. Stuff like that, yeah, you'll get that tease, but not major reveals of a new character. The databases that you see included in some physical mangas, so series like Boruto that don't use data books and they'll use databases to explain the world building, etc. The narrator comments on the back of the manga volume and stuff like this is generally reserved to explain the situation, to add clarity to the plot, and if need be, like when Madara was revived in the manga by Obito, it was to provide a measure for the power level of blind Madara at that point in time. Obviously, I'm not saying we'll never see another Otsutsuki. While I would be totally glad to never see one again, that's probably not going to happen. We literally have the two stone circles that were damaged, that were never mentioned or explained. They were destroyed for a reason, to draw attention to the readers. Another Chekhov's gun for the story. At some point, we're going to get more Otsutsuki. As much as I hate to say that, we're gonna get more, because there's more characters in the Taro folktales that have not been introduced yet. All the Otsutsuki outside of Kaguya's children, they can all be traced back to the Taro folktales. Throw Toneri into Kaguya's children since he's like a great-great-great-grandson to Kaguya, but you get the point. They pop up like they're weeds in a flower bed. Just when you think that you pull all of them up, more pop out after enough time passes. However, that isn't what this reveal is of a new Otsutsuki. It's just literally clarification, bringing readers up to speed about what's going on. Normally, since this is the top of the month, I tend to go back and forth between a Naruto video and a Boruto video to give some balance to the channel before we go more Boruto heavy as we get closer to the chapter, because we get official promotional spoilers and leaks and stuff for the chapter. But after getting another set of DMs requesting this information last night on the Kami Otsutsuki topic, I want to go ahead and address this now, even if it means throwing off my back and forth schedule between Naruto and Boruto videos the first 2 weeks of the month. I know the idea of another Otsutsuki in the story is exciting to a lot of people. It's dreadful to people like me, and again, we're more than likely going to get one, but it's not Kami Otsutsuki as a brand new character. The word Kami literally means God. It's referring to Shibai, given the context of what we have. If we see God Otsutsuki, it's going to be Shibai. The series, it is played with the concept of characters reaching godhood, even literally giving us a roadmap to how somebody becomes a god in the world of Naruto. And the true power of omnipotence has only been used once, and we're told Eida can't control it, only Shibai can. At some point, we're gonna see this power used in a more malicious light. Hopefully this clears up the confusion that's out there, and make sure to share this video if you found it helpful. Also, don't forget to click my joint review for Black Clover's chapters 370 and 371 that's on the screen to help out my Kryptonian Saiyan channel.